Callie Brooks, and this is my case study. This case study is centered on a 4th grade male student named Dakota. Currently, Dakota is a 10-year-old student at Bay Minette Intermediate School. Dakota is an only child who lives with his grandmother and his father. Dakota has not experienced any outstanding life circumstances such as divorce or death in the family, recent arrival to the country, or incarceration of a family member. Dakota's grandmother has taken a very proactive role in advocating for her grandson. When Dakota was 6 years old, he was diagnosed with ADHD. The doctors described Dakota as a boy who suffered from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. When Dakota was in kindergarten, his teacher noticed that he was struggling with controlling his impulses and difficulty concentrating. When Dakota was diagnosed with ADHD, he began taking medications and receiving behavioral therapy. As Dakota progressed into the 1st grade, his grandmother and teachers noticed that he was not progressing as he should, so they requested that Dakota have an education evaluation to receive special education services because his ADHD was interfering with his learning. After multiple evaluations, it was determined that Dakota was eligible to receive special education services under the diagnosis of specific learning disability. This is actually me and Dakota. We were working on some fractions this day, and he matched all the fractions together. So I took a picture of him, and so he could show one of his favorite teachers. He was very proud of himself. Dakota is interested in reading books about cars, fishing, and hunting. Dakota's hobbies outside of school include fixing race cars with his dad and riding in fast cars. Dakota's hobbies in school include playing at PE and eating lunch. Dakota's favorite subject is reading. His least favorite subject is math. 2 goals Dakota has for this school year is that he wants to pass the 4th grade and he wants to meet his AR goal for the year. This is actually the interest inventory that I gave Dakota and also the interest survey that Dakota filled out for me. Dakota has a really difficult time focusing on schoolwork and staying on task while lessons are being taught. Dakota spends his time piddling with things on his desk and being disruptive in class. Dakota's strengths inside the classroom include being detail-oriented, very sociable, and also outstanding reading academics. Dakota's weaknesses include staying on task, talking out in class, and getting easily distracted. This is actually the teacher interview that I conducted with my CT. She filled out some very useful information about Dakota. That way it would help me a lot in the case study. I observed Dakota in multiple settings to gauge behaviors with or without peers in multiple settings. In the general education classroom during a reading lesson, Dakota was off task and not engaged to the lesson. During the math lesson I observed in the special education setting, Dakota was on task, quiet, and working diligently. I feel that the special education setting is the most successful setting for Dakota because he is working one-on-one and independently to help differentiate his instruction. I also observed Dakota in his physical education class. Dakota responded really well with the students and played with students with minimum behavior problems. Observing Dakota in multiple settings allowed me to see how his behavior is affected by different environments and situations. In the special education classroom, he worked really well. He had someone working with him one-on-one. It was a very successful observation. For Dakota's sociogram, he chose the students I thought he would choose for the questions about the best friends and the friends you play with at PE. I was surprised that Dakota chose who he did for the question asked about who he would like to be friends with. The student he chose is a student who is always getting into trouble and who does the most arguing with Dakota. I feel that if Dakota starts being friends with this child, that he will start having worse behavior issues, which we do not want. And this is the actual ecological inventory, the sociogram that I did with Dakota. Dakota chose 3 students who the class as a whole called SMART. I was not surprised about his choice because the students are advanced in the classroom and the students realize this, so they all know. For Dakota's accommodations on the lesson plans, I assigned him a peer buddy, which is really a peer tutor. Dakota's peer buddy assisted him throughout the lava flow activity and helped him with all he needed during the lava flow activity. Dakota's peer helped him attain the right measurements and add them to the correct position on the measurement chart. Also, during the lava flow activity, Dakota's peer tutor helped keep Dakota on task and engaged to the lesson, thus making Dakota's behavior issues almost non-existent. At the end of the activity, Dakota's peer tutor helped him complete the 10-question response that were to help me to see if the students were paying attention and if they were engaged to the lesson. He completed the assignment correctly with the help of the peer tutor, which was really great. I feel that the intervention with the peer tutor worked really well. I made sure not to assign Dakota a peer tutor who Dakota plays with a lot, who he argues with a lot, but someone who could teach and lead Dakota in the right directions when the times I could not, and when I was working with other students. The peer tutor did a really successful job keeping Dakota on track and maintaining positive behavior. I would make sure to tell Dakota he was doing a great job, and this would then in turn help Dakota see that he was being good and getting positive comments instead of negative ones. Once Dakota realized this, his behavior in and out of class improved greatly. The intervention worked so well that my CT actually kept Dakota with that peer tutor in hopes of maintaining Dakota's positive outcome for the rest of the school year. The fact that she did that really made me feel positive and successful that the intervention worked the way it did. What I learned from Dakota. I learned so much from Dakota. I learned that Dakota learns best when he is working one-on-one with someone or when he is in a resource room. Dakota's behavior issues decreased when assigned a peer tutor. Dakota needs time and persistence. I feel that Dakota is on the right path toward a great educational journey,